Seriously, you guys, this is so good. It's like deconstructed lasagna in a soup form. And I'm serving this up with a nice tossed green salad. So what a dinner. And I think this is a good dinner any time of the year, not just during winter time and when it's cold and chilly, but it's better this time of year. Anyway. Hey, hi you guys. I'm Amy Roloff, and I'm in my little kitchen. I've got a lot going on today. What else is new? We are heading into the new year. It's New Year's Eve. We're having some friends over, and we're just gonna have a little bit of drink, a little bit of heavy apps. So I've asked everyone to bring over their favorite appetizer, and I'm gonna go ahead and make some lasagna soup. I thought, you know, it's kind of cold and it's very comforting, but it's not too heavy like lasagna, and it's really easy to make. So you don't quite have to go through all the layers that you would in making lasagna. So I thought about making lasagna soup. I know there's a bunch of recipes out there, and this is just kind of my version of how I would actually make lasagna, and just putting it kind of in soup form. I debated whether to use beef broth or chicken broth or vegetable broth. So I think either one would really work. I know that beef broth will give you more of a heartier, richer soup. So I'm still debating whether to use chicken or beef. I'll probably end up using chicken though, because we've got a lot of tomatoes going on in here. I'm gonna use crushed tomatoes, fire roasted tomatoes, crushed tomatoes. I might even put a little bit of tomato sauce because, you know, ever since my kids have grown up and now that they're all married themselves, I have been making my own marinara sauce. And I will sometimes use tomato sauce depending on how thick I want the sauce. But usually I use the, what is it called? Those little, it looks like Roma tomatoes, but I buy them in a little can, jar, Marzanto or whatever tomatoes. Oh my goodness. Anyway, onions have gotten to me, so I'm not sure if I'll use tomato sauce in it, but I'll definitely use a little bit of fire roasted tomatoes, a 28-ounce can of crushed tomatoes, tomato paste. We're only having about 8 people here, including Chris and I. So it's a kind of a smaller group, but that's okay. You know, this is New Year's Eve. I want everyone to go home safely. And definitely a lot of herbs. I've got rosemary, thyme, oregano, basil. And I might even sprinkle a little bit of fresh basil on top. I was thinking about this lasagna soup. Normally I don't add any like green stuff in it, but I may go ahead and add some parsley in it just before it's ready to serve to incorporate, I don't know, those little flecks of green. It'll definitely be in the ricotta cheese. That's kind of like your little topping on the nice, hot, steamy lasagna soup, and the cheese is kind of like, ooh, melts in the soup. So hopefully it'll be good. Anyway, it's my first time really doing it, so we'll see how I can transform a lasagna dish into a soup. I've got ground beef cooking over here, about a pound of ground beef, and maybe about a half a pound of like Italian sausage. I still kind of wanted that flavor, you know, within that. And then we got lasagna noodles, of course. They're going to be broken up. Now, if you cook the lasagna noodles within the soup, I would go ahead and add in more chicken broth. I'm going to add in about 4, maybe 5 cups of chicken broth. So if you do add in the lasagna noodles, go ahead and add in a little bit more, because the pasta will absorb some of that liquid, and depending on how thick you want it. So anyway, this is kind of, you know, whatever dish you want to make it. So I've got my onions here. Once the meat is done, I'm going to saute the onions along with a little garlic. Normally I would not put green pepper in my lasagna, so I'm not doing it here. Didn't want to, but I think if you wanted to add green peppers, go ahead. This is a soup, so, you know, shake the lasagna recipe up a little bit. I was debating whether to add in a little bit of carrot. I might add in a little bit of carrot here. In fact, if I do, I'm gonna chop them up, you know, not a rough chop, not a fine chop, but definitely a good chop. So let me do a little bit more of this onion. Definitely I don't want celery or green pepper. That just doesn't feel right to me. So I might go ahead and add in a little bit of carrot. Why? Just because I think carrot is a good base for soup. And I think it'll go good. I think it'll go well within the soup. Okay, hopefully my eyes will not just totally tear up and you'll be like, does she even like cooking? Because, so if I sound like I have a cold, it's because I'm not breathing through my mouth, or no, my nose, to prevent myself from tearing up. Oh dear. So let's get this done. Oh. So I have about, you know, a small like sweet onion. I chose a sweet onion. You could use a white onion, yellow onion. I know they all have different strengths, but I chose a sweet onion because that's what I like. So we're just gonna chop this up, and I think by the time I chop up this one last clove of garlic, I have about 4 cloves of garlic in here because, as you guys all know, I love garlic. So we're gonna chop up here. And I think after I get this soup together, I've got cookies I've gotta finish up. Oh my goodness, I thought that'd be a nice, you know, good holiday treat. Let me see, where's a bowl here? I need a bowl. Okay, here's my bowl. Let's get all this in here. So like I said, I have probably about, believe me, I don't have a cold, people. I'm just trying to prevent my eyes from totally watering up. So I am not breathing through my nose. Whoops. So I have about 1 onion. Looks like a lot of onion. So if you don't want to add a whole onion, don't feel like you have to. Okay, so I'm gonna get 1 or 2 carrots. We're gonna chop that up. Okay, so I'm gonna cut up just one carrot. I don't know, maybe because the word soup has entered my mind, I just feel like I need a carrot in this. And I don't think carrot is gonna take a lot of that traditional taste and flavor from lasagna. But they're not gonna be in big chunks. I'm gonna cut them up or chop them up. Not fine, but well chopped, I guess. Okay. There we go. So we're just gonna do this, and I forgot to do my one last garlic, so I'll do that. I've drained my meat, so that's in a bowl. So my pot is still a little bit warm, so when I saute the vegetables. One thing I love about soup, you can really just see the layers that you're building up the flavors of the soup. Like I browned the meat, drained it, but there's probably still a little bit of flavor of that meat with a little bit of salt and pepper and a little bit of olive oil. I'll put the vegetables in there with a little bit of olive oil, just a little bit of salt, just a little bit, because I know these cans of tomatoes will definitely have salt. And then you put the cans of soup in it, and then you've got your herbs, your garlic. Just really building up soup. And then you put the pasta in there. Then you top it off with a mixture of ricotta cheese and mozzarella and Parmesan, a little bit of parsley. But instead of doing an egg like you would normally do, I think with I haven't made lasagna in a while, with the ricotta, in order for it to hold together, you just create a mixture of the ricotta cheese and the other cheeses with a little bit of parsley mixed in. That'll give it some color. And I think this is finely chopped enough. So just one carrot. One carrot was good enough because it was kind of a large carrot. But anyway, I cannot believe 2021 is over and we are into 2022. Man, I'm so glad I made it. The best thing that happened to me, two best things that happened to me in 2021 was I got married to the most wonderful man. He keeps me on my toes, and I keep life fun and, you know, crazy and exciting for him. And I had 2 grandbabies born this year, as you might have seen on Jeremy and Audrey's Instagram and Isabel and Jacob's Instagram. So I got 2 more grandbabies, so that makes number 6. This next year, I've got nephews getting married, and I have Zach and Tori expecting another baby. So it just shows you that you can never give up hope. Life keeps going regardless of what's going on with your life. And you just got to keep hope alive. And I'm going to keep on cooking, whether it's just for Chris and I, or friends or family. So anyway, I think I've got this finely chopped because I got to get going here. Okay, we're going to bring it over here. Hi, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you are enjoying it, and I would really appreciate it if you liked it and subscribe to it. And oh, don't forget to click that little bell up there, and you'll be notified of future videos that are new and coming on my YouTube channel. So thank you so much for that. And I would really appreciate it if you shared the video and let other people know, and encourage them to subscribe and like the videos as well. So anyway, thank you, and back to the video. Okay, I'm gonna add just a little bit of more olive oil in here. Turn my heat up just a little bit, and we're gonna dump the onions in there. Just kind of brown those a little bit, or just kind of till they're translucent, and this will take at least about 5 minutes. Just a dab of salt. So we're gonna brown this for, what did I say? Not brown it, but soften them up, make them a little translucent. I'm just gonna go ahead and add my carrots in here. See if you could see that? See? Soup, just about layering. I'm gonna put the lid over here, turn on my light, and because I forgot to chop up this last garlic, I'm gonna do that right now. I don't know if you can even see me. Nope. So I'm chopping up this garlic a little bit here. Hopefully it doesn't land in the stove top. How many cookies did I make? I'm making like these Oreo and dark chocolate truffles with a hint of espresso in them, topped off with crushed peppermint. I thought those would look pretty good. Hopefully they will be. And then I made what I call my magic bars. They've got chocolate chip, butterscotch chips, a little bit of coconut, graham cracker crumbs, mixed in with a little bit of butter, coconut flakes, nuts, and then with condensed milk drizzled over it. So I just cut those into little bars. And usually I make thumbprint cookies with a little bit of jam in it, but I'm going to try making linzer or like butter cookies and rolling that out, two discs, rolling those out, and then cutting one. It's like a sandwich cooking, cutting one with a decorative cutout, and then when they've cooled off, layer one with jam, put the top on, and so you can see whatever cutout you have on the top part. Could be a Christmas tree, it could be a star, could be a circle, who knows. So I'm gonna go ahead and add in the garlic here. My other cloves of garlic that I had chopped up already. Get that going. So drizzle just a hint more olive oil. And then while I have this almost done, I'm going to go ahead and open up my tomato paste. Open up the tomato paste here and just have that cook just for a little bit. Give it more of that rustic tomato flavor. And yes, I am adding a whole can of tomato paste in here. Since I'm not using tomato sauce, I decided not to do that. But add in a whole can. Give it that rich flavor of tomatoes. Look at that, I even wiped the spoon off because, you know, you never know what you're leaving behind. I'm going to turn down the heat just a little bit. Just let that cook. Oh man, I can smell it. It smells so good. I mean, put you guys up a little bit. See? It smells so good. Mmm. Okay, I'm gonna let that cook for a minute, and then we'll be ready to layer in with the meat, the herbs, the rest of the crushed tomatoes, fire roasted tomatoes, about 4 cups of chicken broth, and we'll see how we're going from there. Okay, here we go. We have our tomato paste. We've got our onions and carrots and garlic, all in this lovely, lovely mixture. Excuse me. So we're going to go ahead and add in our meat. Get that kind of just mixed in there with the carrots, onions, tomato paste. We're going to go ahead and add in our crushed tomatoes. Remember, because we're making a sauce, or I mean a soup, this doesn't have to be as thick as maybe you would use for lasagna. We're going to go ahead and add in our crushed fire roasted tomatoes. Hope I used, yeah. Wouldn't that be terrible? I opened up the wrong can. Oh my goodness. And I like doing this part first because depending on how you want your soup will depend on how much broth you want. But I think this is going to take at least 1 carton, which I believe is 4 cups. We're going to go ahead and add in our herbs. And the herbs I have is probably a teaspoon of each. Teaspoon of rosemary, thyme, oregano, and basil. I really want some flavor in here. And then I'm gonna see if I need any more salt after this sits and cooks for a while. Because sometimes when you first taste food, when you just first combine it, it hasn't had a chance to kind of blend all those flavors together to really see what you need. So I already salted, you know, some of the vegetables when I was cooking them. So we are going to go ahead and add in just stir that around a little bit. And that tomato paste will also help thicken it up. Oh my gosh. You know, it almost looks like you're making spaghetti sauce, doesn't it? So I added 1 carton, and I try and use low sodium, a good broth, whatever you can find in your grocery store, because in my personal opinion, wherever you live, grocery stores are changing. It's such a bummer. I know this kind of just looks like spaghetti sauce, but this is pretty much what you would do for lasagna. Just wouldn't be, you know, this liquid, because this is a soup. But once you put in those lasagna noodles and top it off with ricotta cheese, it's gonna be luscious, gonna be delicious, scrumptious. All right. Just wanna make sure nothing is sticking to the bottom. So here we go. That is the beginning of our soup. And I think we're pretty much 3/4 or 7/8 done with this. So I'm just gonna put the lid on, let it cook for a little bit. Just let a little bit of the water content come out, just in case. And we're gonna go ahead and create the ricotta mixture. Okay, so here's our base for our lasagna soup. I went ahead and added some carrots. I chopped them up pretty fine because I just felt like carrots. It's soup. And I have an onion, fire roasted tomatoes, crushed tomatoes, about 1.5 pounds of about 1 pound of ground beef, about 1/2 pound of ground pork sausage. Definitely some herbs and garlic in here. So don't think of this as tomato sauce or spaghetti sauce or whatever. This is gonna be good lasagna soup. We're gonna add ricotta cheese mixture and lasagna noodles. Okay, so we are going to go ahead. I heard my soup kind of starting to boil, and I don't want it to do that. Just kind of simmer. And I decided to cook the lasagna noodles on the side, and meaning in a different pot, so when they're a little past al dente, you know, just so you still have that little bit of a chew, I'll put them in this. I'll put the lasagna noodles in the soup, and you're gonna, you know, break them up. Put the lasagna noodles in the soup and have them finish cooking within the soup. So anyway, we're gonna take about 8 ounces or more, whatever you want here. Let's see, what size? Can't remember what size I got. 32 ounces. So I'll probably use a cup, because this is gonna be soup. And, oh, I guess 8 ounces is a cup. I'm gonna go ahead and do that. I don't know, maybe 1.5 cups. I'm gonna use a little bit of ricotta cheese. And I use whole milk. I think whole milk is a little bit richer. And I could not, I'm using Tillamook, my favorite local cheese around here. And depending, sometimes my stores have it, sometimes they don't. I'm gonna use about a cup of mozzarella. But because this is grated like long, I'm just gonna give it a rough chop so that they'll be in smaller pieces. And I think when they're in smaller pieces, instead, you know, this big, long strip of cheese, it may melt better. And I think it'll mix a little better within the ricotta cheese. This looks like more than a cup. Let me see how much it actually is. I think I might have grabbed a little bit too much out of there. I think I got a measuring thing over there. So yeah, I just wanted to give this a rough chop, not chuck. Oh my goodness. Okay. I gotta finish up my cookies too. Oh yeah, this will be good. Yeah, it's about a cup, slightly a little bit more, but that'll be okay. So we're just gonna mix that in here. And I'm hoping that I have enough seasonings in the soup that I really don't have to add any herbs in there except for parsley, chopped up parsley. I'm gonna go ahead and grate up some Parmesan cheese. So you got layers of cheese in this soup too. Kind of just like how you would do it when you spoon the ricotta cheese mixture on the lasagna noodles. And the meat sauce. Then you layer it with some more mozzarella and then the meat sauce. And so like I said, you're just putting it in soup form. Boy, it's gonna take a little bit. Yeah, I wanted it grated instead of shredded. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I should just buy it already grated. I don't know, there's just something about doing it yourself to me. I just feel like I'm one with the food. Oh my goodness, that sounds like a little silly, doesn't it? But I do, I feel like I'm part of the food that I make. Because I make it with lots of love, I make it honestly, and it comes from the heart. And I'm just really happy when people like the food I make. Because they're all, you know what, y'all are good cooks out there. And I think I mentioned it before, when I go out to restaurants, I'll usually get something that I do not make very often or haven't made in a long time or have never made. Tell you, my New Year's goal is to make gnocchi and homemade pasta. So maybe I'll make the homemade pasta noodles and actually get the broth from a from a cooked chicken and really make that chicken noodle soup like my grandmother made. Okay, I think this is about enough. Probably went a little bit overboard. So we're gonna add in this Parmesan cheese. And so we're just gonna mix this in here. Again, I probably should have gotten a bigger bowl. I just want to really make sure this is mixed in well. Like I said, in this you're not adding an egg like you would maybe when you make lasagna, because the egg will help hold the cheese together and not run all over the place. Okay, I'm just gonna, might just add just a little bit of pepper in here. And if you didn't want those little black specks, I would add in just a little bit of white pepper. And I think I do have white pepper, to tell you the truth. There we go. Oh, I think I hear Chris. Okay, I'm gonna get some, a little bit of parsley and add that to this. Put my cheese back, get the parsley over. We'll be done with this. We'll let the soup cook a little bit longer, and then people can dollop their own little ricotta cheese mixture in their soup, and however much they want. And if you did want to make this lasagna soup a little bit creamier, how about adding maybe a quarter cup, maybe a half a cup of heavy cream. And that'll give it that little cream mixture. Just something a little different. But I think I'm not gonna do that. I think the ricotta cheese will do it. Okay, I'm gonna get parsley, chop that up, and mix it in with the ricotta cheese. So I'm just gonna I'm gonna cut the parsley up kind of fine, not just rough chopped. I don't want big pieces of parsley in the cheese mixture, ricotta cheese mixture. And then just before serving, I'm just gonna cut up a little bit of basil, chiffonade, the basil, so they're like little ribbons. And if people wanna do that, they can put that in their soup as well. Okay, there we go. Throw all this away. There we go. So this cheese is pretty stiff, so I'm just gonna set it out to maybe a little bit of room temperature. That way it will melt better when it gets in the cheese. And you can use part skim milk or low fat or whatever it is, ricotta cheese. That may be a little bit softer and it may melt a little bit more. I have whole milk ricotta cheese in this. Let me taste a little bite of this though. I think I'm gonna go ahead and add the rest of this. Why let that little Parmesan cheese just sit there? But no, this tastes really good. Okay, we're done with that. We'll just let this soup cook for a little bit. I'm gonna finish up the cookies, and Chris and I will be ready for when our friends come over to bring in 2022. So this is lasagna soup in Amy Roloff's little kitchen. Hey, hi, back in the kitchen. And I'm just finishing up the recipe of lasagna soup. I will have to admit, I think it's one of my favorites. Just look at this. It is so, so good. And you can make it thick or a little bit more runny because it's been in the fridge for a little bit. It kind of definitely thickened up. But I love it. You can think of it as deconstructed lasagna. Instead of having a big piece of lasagna that I think is very, very filling, you make it into a soup and you're like having lasagna, but just in soup form. Anyway, absolutely love it. I made it for New Year's Eve when we had a bunch of friends over. So go ahead and try this recipe and all of the others over on my YouTube channel and subscribe to Amy Roloff's Little Kitchen. I would absolutely love it. But you can find this recipe and video over there. But let's give it a taste. And look at this. You put a little dollop of ricotta cheese on it. I just absolutely love it. A little bit of cheese. Oh, the thing I would make is, or Make sure you cut up the noodles small enough so that you don't get big pieces of noodles. Because I did that the first time and I said, no, gotta chunk up those noodles a little bit more so they're more like bite size. So, seriously, you guys, this is so good. It's like deconstructed lasagna in a soup form. And I'm serving this up with a nice tossed green salad. So what a dinner. And I think this is a good dinner any time of the year, not just during winter time and when it's cold and chilly, but it's better this time of year. Anyway, go and check out Amy Roloff's Little Kitchen. And until next time,